Good afternoon from Moon Manor here in Hopalong Hollow. Today we're inside this old house because it's absolutely frigid outside. So I had to truck all these items into the house in order to make a video on gifts for the gardener. Now, a lot of people are really difficult to buy gifts for, but gardeners are the absolute exception because it is so easy to buy things for the gardener. And in this video, I'm specifically speaking about women gardeners because I think men gardeners might have a little bit different taste than we women do, but maybe not. I think they like a little more expensive toys like tractors and things like that. But let's start out with some of the practical gifts that you can give the gardener in your life, whether that's your mother, your sister, your friend, your wife, whoever it is. There's always something that a gardener will love to have. Garden gloves. We always need garden gloves. We go through garden gloves like crazy. I wish they would compost because I have a whole bucket full of garden gloves that have just been worn to nothingness. This is a really good glove, in my opinion, for pulling weeds and just general lightweight garden work. But this is a really great deal. If you go on Amazon, guess what you can get? You can get 6 pair of these gloves for $10. They have the rubbery, plasticky stuff on the bottom and the nylon on the top. These wouldn't be heavy-duty gloves, but heavy-duty gloves, that especially for gardeners that do have a lot of roses. Rose gloves are specifically come up to way past your wrist. Usually they have some leather on them. They're really nice gloves. So there's different gloves for different purposes. But believe me, any gardener would appreciate having a nice stack of gloves. Garden tools that are of really good quality. I mean, even just a really nice trowel. I haven't used these yet, so they look pretty darn good. So far, they've got rubber handle, really, really heavy cultivator here. That's going to be nice to use. This is for separating perennials, and it's got serrated edges. Root Slayer, it's called. Can't wait to try that out. But any really nice high-quality trowel or a really nice rake or a small shovel, a gardener would really appreciate having. Garden aprons are always appreciated by the gardener. In this case, we have some lightweight summer aprons, which are probably the best to use for going out and collecting your vegetables and your flowers. You wouldn't want to go out and dump compost or work the soil in these, I don't think. But they're very nice just for those lightweight chores that a gardener has to do just about every day. A little apron, it's made of canvas. It's a little more of a workhorse than the other ones I just showed you. Heavyweight canvas, fits nicely, just goes right around the waist, doesn't hang down too far over your waist, and it's perfect for just a few tools in here. I've been wearing this for a couple years. It's pretty sturdy. I think any gardener would appreciate having a nice little apron like this, just a work apron, at any time. This is more of a heavy-duty work apron. My husband bought this. He found it. He's great at finding garden gifts, I'll tell you that. This is called, it's made by Bucket Boss. It is heavy-duty canvas. It's got nice padded shoulders. It's got all kinds of pockets for your pens and your small tools. He put a little magnet on the inside of that pocket where you can clip on papers if you walk around the garden taking notes, which I do all the time. But it's also got a pocket for your notebook. Plenty of pockets for hanging your tools, your scissors, your twine, your gloves, your seeds. I think there's even a small tape measure in here. This is very sturdy, fits nicely around the waist, and it fits all sizes because he bought one for himself too. His will more likely be holding tools than carpentry tools, not garden tools. But this was purchased on Amazon for $16. A great, great gift for a serious gardener. Oh, Burr, I had to come outside to do this little tidbit here. Garden shoes are usually not something you want to pick for someone else, as you can see by some of my favorite garden shoes that I've had through the years. But my practical husband picked these out for me, and I love them. They are so sturdy. They are warm. They are great in mud and slush and all kinds of soil and dirt and awful compost. But they are called Extra Tough. And he used to wear these. He said everybody wore these in Alaska, which is where he grew up. But being the practical one, he not only bought me the boots, he bought me the boot scraper, and he bought me the boot jack to take the boot off with. So, like I said, shoes are not usually something you want to buy for someone else, but in this case, he chose very, very well. Garden hats. I have a lot of garden hats, but I chose these two, and they're pretty scruffed up, but they have wide brims, and that's what we really want, because the whole reason for wearing a hat in the garden is to keep the sun out of your face. And so this straw hat right here has a nice wide brim, completely covers my face and my neck. And it's the old-fashioned straw hat, gardener's hat, so you don't get that heat on the top. And then little caps are often very, very convenient. But I don't know any gardeners that go out there to get a sunburn, so a little sunscreen and a hat will do wonders and make a gardener quite happy. Markers for any gardener that plants their own seeds or transfers bedding plants. These are a real steal. They're multicolored plastic garden markers. They come off Amazon. You can get about 500 of these for around, I believe, it's been about a year since I bought them. It just seems to me they were less than $10, but I remember it was such a good deal. And the printing on them, you just write on it with a marker, and it lasts and lasts and lasts, and then you can reuse them as well. Just wrap those in a ribbon, put them inside a new pair of garden gloves, and you will make a gardener very happy. Let's talk about garden journals, because garden journals can be as simple as a spiral notebook, and they can be small, or they can be very folk arty. Some have blank pages, some of them have graph paper, some of them have lines. These are super beautiful. These are made by Oberon leather, and I've been using these for many, many years, not just for gardening, but also for my artwork. But these contain books with blank pages. This one's beautiful. But this isn't the kind you'd carry around in the garden, but it's the kind that you would keep at night to do your sketches, keep track of your garden plans. So you can get something like this, which is fairly, well, these are not inexpensive. I think a journal like this was about $40 or $50, something like that. But then again, you can get a beautiful, this is suede, nice garden journal for about 12 lines. Garden journals, oh yes, gardeners love to write. They love to write their plans. They love to draw sketches. At least most of the gardeners I know do. And this is just a way to record all the doings in your garden. Really special gift. Now let's move on to things that are a little more fun. Practical, yes, but a little more fun and on the whimsical side. Now these are plant markers as well, and these are more likely to be used by a container gardener. My friend makes these, and they're made of clay, and aren't they wonderful? Her name is Barbara, and I don't know if she wants me giving her full name on here, so I won't. But I buy these from her all the time, and I give them away as gifts myself. Another wonderful bit of garden markers. Here are these lovely little cast iron birds. They will last just forever. And these, I made these years ago. I bet you know how to make these too. But these are old silver spoons that I imprinted with the name of the flower of the plant. The only problem with these, I think they're better in a container gardener, because when you put them up in the garden, they just turn black like this. They get so tarnished. Nevertheless, I think they're really nice, and they would be great as a gift inside of a little potted plant. Speaking of pots, there are so many gorgeous, gorgeous containers for container gardeners out there that you can find. And I always look for something that's a little bit unusual. But honestly, I love clay pots. Particularly these clay pots without the rim, because they're more like the old English clay pots from about 100 years ago or more, where they didn't put a rim on it. And you can find these now in different garden areas. But for a gardener that does a lot of container gardening, these are a wonderful way to express your friendship or your love. Even this little one here is actually plastic on the inside, so it's only woven on the outside. And you know what? I got this at Walmart last year, and I bought 4 of them, and they have been really nice on the porch with succulents inside them. Lovely, lovely things for your special gardener. Now, I'd be crazy if I didn't talk about seeds. Of course, you have to make sure that your gardener does plant from seed before you buy them a whole bunch of seed. But if they do, you can often buy seeds in wonderful little containers like this. In this little tin were about 12 different packs of seed. I believe they were all vegetables and herbs. And something like that with beautiful artwork on the cover. And that's one thing I love about seed packets. They can be so absolutely beautiful. Which brings me to a very special gift for the gardener. And that is seed boxes. When seeds were sold in the stores back in the early 1900s, late 1850s, they came in these wonderful little wooden boxes with beautiful graphics on the inside. And then the seeds would be inside these boxes, and the purchaser would just sift through the seeds and find out which ones they wanted. And I mean, some of them are just really fantastic boxes. Look at these beautiful old images of seed packets from days gone by. I think, maybe I'm wrong, but I think any gardener would love to have an antique seed box to store their precious, precious seeds in. Now, they're not that easy to find, but if you run across one in an antique store, or possibly on eBay, you should get it and give it to a gardener that you love. Even having one glass garden cloche gives a beautiful, nostalgic look to any garden. So garden cloches are wonderful, wonderful gifts. They come in many different sizes. This one is about a medium. They're pretty heavyweight. They aren't inexpensive. They actually run anywhere from $40 and up. But that's for another video, which is coming up very, very soon. So garden cloches are special to gardeners, and so are bee skeps. Who that gardens doesn't love bees and bee skeps? Now, you wouldn't use this bee skep in your garden. This would just fall apart before you know it. I've actually stuck them in gardens before, and they just don't last. This is a special one, though. This is something, it's really more something that you would put on your porch. It's more of an ornamental piece, but this one actually has a purpose, because this one opens up and you can use it for storage. I've had it for a couple years. I'm not quite sure. I'm pretty sure I got it off eBay. So see if you can find one of these. What a great surprise that would be. Gathering baskets. And I found both of these gathering baskets at a flea market. But any kind of basket that's fairly sturdy and well made. Should be usually made of oak if it's going to have any use. But my gosh, I put bulbs in these. I pick vegetables, flowers in these gathering baskets. And when you're not using them, they just look beautiful in your potting shed, or on your porch, or in your greenhouse, or wherever it is you do your gardening. So any kind of basket with a handle and a little bit of space inside. Well, you actually need a little bit more than a little bit of space inside. And there you have another great gift for the gardener. You know what would be a great thing to do? Find a gathering basket and fill it with a nice pair of gloves, a really decent trowel, a packet of seeds, a pair of sunglasses, some sunscreen, and a garden book. And that leads us to garden books. Does a gardener have too many books? Well, maybe. And I don't think most of them get read from cover to cover, but I'm sure that the pictures are gone over and over and pored over and over again, because garden photographs of beautiful gardens help us dream and inspire us to create our beautiful gardens in our own space. Hardback garden books can be purchased online for very little oftentimes. You don't have to buy the really expensive ones. If you're a cottage gardener, like I am, there are just endless wonderful books to help you and inspire you in your own plot. If your garden person that you want to purchase a gift for loves to read, I have a really lovely book here. It was written in 1900 by Elizabeth in her garden. It's basically a story of her life in this wonderful, wonderful place that she lived in Germany. But I love this book. This is a 1902 copy. And it's just first sentence in the book. If you love to read and you love your garden, you will relate to this. May 17th. I love my garden. I'm writing in it now in the late afternoon loveliness, much interrupted by the mosquitoes and the temptation to look at all the glories of the new leaves, washed half an hour ago in a cold shower. 2 owls are perched near me and are carrying on a long conversation that I enjoy as much as any warbling of nightingales. But it just goes on and on and on. It's very poetic, very beautiful. A lot of wonderful old images in it. I've heard of many, many children. And a vintage copy of this would be a really special gift for your gardener. Another great gift for the gardener is a gift certificate out of any of these catalogs for bulbs, for seeds, for plants, for roots, and also for roses. And since we're talking about roses here for a second, instead of buying your gardener a dozen roses, why not get the gardener a rose bush instead? It'll cost the same amount of money, and it'll last for years and years and years. And every time the gardener looks at that rose blooming, they will think of you. It's much, much more thoughtful gift. And believe me, as beautiful as a dozen roses are, the thoughtfulness that goes behind giving a rose bush is even nicer. On a more personal level, we have some lovely little bits of jewelry here. We have some scratched ivory and some little metal birds. Anything with a bee, a beehive, a bird's nest, a bird would probably be appreciated by those who love to get their hands in that soil. Now here we have something that has absolutely nothing to do with gardening, but it certainly smells like the garden. And this is a particular brand of perfume from Jo Malone of London, and the scents are just so wonderful. Listen to the names of these. You've got bluebell, red rose, lime, basil, and mango. You've got wood sage and sea salt. There's cucumber and lime. Just these wonderful earthy scents. And to try these perfumes out, you can get them, I think I saw them on eBay in a little gift pack. That way you can try them out and see which ones you like. But they're lightweight, and they're just like going into a cottage garden. They're just really lovely scents. So that in itself is another one of those personal gifts that you can give to your gardener. Well, we started this video out by pouring a cup of tea, which brings me to winter gardening in the catalogs, and how lovely it would be for a gardener to receive from you a nice little teapot with holds about 2 cups of tea, a beautiful teacup, and some excellent tea. And I am going to recommend Harney & Sons Hot Cinnamon Spice, which is so delicious. Cloves, black tea, and cinnamon. It's really strong. Of course, you do have to give it a little sweetener to give that full flavor. You can buy Harney & Sons tea on Amazon. You can get 2 cans for $20. I know that's expensive for tea, but it is really well worth it. Especially during those cold months when you can't get out there and garden, you can just look out the window and watch the snow and dream about your tulips coming up over a nice hot cup of tea. Well, you know, I could go on and think of more and more things, but I think it's time to end the video. But I wonder, is there anything that I missed that you think would be a wonderful gift to give the gardener in your life? Or as a gardener yourself, what are the sorts of things that you would appreciate having? Let me know in the comments. From Hopalong Hollow, this is Jerry. See you next time, hopefully outside in the garden.